Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you guys are doing well. Just make sure we've got everything. We're live. All right. Hello, Glenda. How are you? Hello, Chris. I'm finishing up my coffee. Hey, Jennifer. It is a lovely afternoon today. Nice and sunny, warm here in Calgary. And I think any day is a good day to crafting. The kiddos are heading out. Hello, Judy. It's hot but not complaining. That's right. Hello, Ray. I'm going to get my husband to just check at the front door to see. I know Sandy was going to drop some things off, but she may not have been here yet. But we'll grab them when she is. Some new goodies. Yeah, we can't complain about the heat for sure because we don't have too much of it. So we got to take it when it comes. We've been to the pool this week. We have some city pools in Calgary, and so you can register now. They've kind of changed their process a little bit, and you can register and have a spot in the pool for an hour and a half, which is nice. You know that you're going to get in. So I've had the kids swimming this week, and yeah, it was different because we all hadn't been swimming for a few years, really. So we all used muscles that we didn't know that we had. So this is the card we're going to make today. We have the Glossy Glaze. Has anybody tried this? It is so creamy. Really great. Hello, Darlene. So this is really fun. I did a whole demo one day with the Glossy Glaze, and we did like a technique where you can put it on the mirror cardstock and it looks like it's shattered glass. Wonderful beach day, Glenda. So nice. You're in New Brunswick, is that right? Awesome, thank you. So yeah, we don't have much for beaches here in Calgary, but we do have some pools and recreational facilities, and there are some lakes, just not a lot, not as much. I grew up on the East Coast, so we had a lot more lakes, and we had, of course, the ocean. Hello, Cynthia. And we had, so I grew up in Nova Scotia, so that it was definitely different from here, but we still try to get into the water lots. So we're going to use the Glossy Glaze. We've got the fun Altenew Inks. Yes, some days, great memory. I went ahead and ordered these 4 packs. The last time that we did a live where we did blending, I thought I needed some more. Hi, Linda. And I have also like a red set and kind of a greenish yellow set, and some blues. So I kind of decided on these to round out my collection, and really I love that you can use any of these separately for just stamping, or you can combine them and kind of get that tones that will match together. So there are Altenew Inks and Pink Fresh Mini Inks in the shop that I think they both are interchangeable, and they're both really great colors there. So if you're looking for anything like that, or you kind of want to experiment with doing some more layered stenciling, they're really fun. But we're going to use these today. And we've got some of these Pigment Craft Co. We had brought a few things in. I really love the Pigment Craft Co. stuff. Hello, Judy, if I didn't say hi before. So these are just a couple things. There are more things in the shop. This is a layered stencil. Of course, if you search for layered stencils in the store, there's a bunch that come up. There's a bunch of Altenew ones and just some really fun stencils, or you can just use regular stencils. So I thought maybe if we have time, we'll play with just a regular stencil, but just combining some inks as well as the glossy glaze. So I thought we'd do that. But these are just a really kind of a clean graphic stamp, and you can also achieve a similar result with those Altenew, and there's probably some Pink Fresh. I didn't look at what's in there. Hello, Doris. The stamps that have the layering. So layering stamps, layering stencils, you can kind of get that feel from all of those things. Or if you have any solid color stamps, then try this out. This is just a solid stamp, but I actually added some of the darker green to give it a different color on the bottom. This one is another one that I had posted on the Instagram page for Scrap Shotz a while ago. So it's that same sending love. So we've got on this stamp set, it's the sending love sentiment, and then you've got this flower that you put together, and I'm going to show you how that goes together. And I use the other colors that I have, like the pinks and reds and the blues and the green that I said I had. So I use those for this one, and a cover plate in the back, which is kind of cute. And then this is that very basic, you've got 3 stamps that layer together. So whatever color scheme you want to use, and I've got a couple variations, you can just achieve a nice effect. And then I have the dies for those as well that we'll be using. Here's a close-up look at the stenciling we'll be doing. I pre-did one of them because I'm going to show you how to use the glossy glaze, but of course it won't be dry. So I thought I would pre-do it so we can at least, we can put it together today. And before we get into making that, Sandy just dropped off, like literally my husband just grabbed it. And I'm going to show you which company is this. One is Pigment Craft Co. So they are actually in Saskatchewan. It's a newer company, and we have some of their stuff in the shop, kind of that kind of clean graphic look. They've got stamps and stencils and cover plates, and but Pigment Craft Co. is the company. And then this is Altenew is the inks that I was using today, and Creative Expressions Cosmic Shimmer Glossy Glaze. This stuff is really fun. So if you didn't see the video from a couple weeks ago with the glossy glaze, and there's a lot you can do with it, Jamie Rogers is the designer who designed this for Creative Expressions, and he has so many great things, and he's so fun to watch. He has a YouTube channel, and he's got lots of ways that you can use this as well. There's a bunch of different colors, and it is very fun. So Sandy just literally dropped this off. I have no idea what it is. So we will both look at this together. Let's see. Let's have a look. All right, so we need to, Canadian company creating layering stems. Yes, it's so nice, hey? And they are very sweet. They were a big sponsor of that YouTube, Canada Day YouTube hop, I think. So it's nice to see Canadian companies. And speaking of Canadian companies, Wild Whisper, this is some new products from them. So we have these in the shop. I am not sure what's loaded right now. If you don't see them, feel free to just say that you'd like one. But I would say, you know, very shortly, if not today, these will be loaded in the shop if they're not already. So let's have a look. I haven't even looked at these. I was designing with Wild Whisper, but I was kind of a little bit over busy, and I thought I have to kind of put that to the wayside, but I love their products and I will still be using them, just not on their blog. Because I guess we only have so much time, right? This is really cute. This is handmade. This is what the collection is called. And there's been lots of trendy collections with the handmade emblems and sentiments. So I think people really appreciate that they have their crafty time and they want to celebrate it. And whether they're making a scrapbook page or a card using them, it's just a really fun. So handmade, again, the collection. And so what they do is they usually, I don't know if I have, okay, so here's the paper that goes with it. Oh, and they have a stencil as well. So they usually bring out the paper. They've got a stencil. Let's put that one. I think that one's to the other collection. And then they have ephemera, and then they have their cards. So their cards consist of several, let's see how many are in here, 12 double-sided 3x4s, and then 5 of the 4x6 full cards. And the images and colors all coordinate. So you can use these either in pocket page scrapbooking or on your pages as elements. Those are really fun. And you can even cut out of them if you want to. And all of these things will layer. They're also really nice for a card front. This is the quilt blocks. Oh my gosh, I love this. I think I definitely am going to have this. Look at that. How many things could you do with that, especially if you had some of the small ink blending brushes, and then do some ink blending and do like we're going to do today with the glossy glaze and put some of the glaze over top. That would look amazing. That's really, really cute. And it looks to me, okay, so you've got, it's repeated a few times. So if you do the whole background, you've kind of got that quilted look. That's really cute. I really like that design. And then they have their paper here. So you get 6 sheets of double-sided, and their paper is really nice and thick. So it's really great for die cutting. It's really smooth and glossy. And you have both sides. So you've got, this one is your cut apart, and then you have a design on the other side. And those sentiments are so fun just to put on your page. Then it looks like you've got some paint strokes. And another fun thing about their paper is that if you put it through a laminator with foil, so with deco foil, the colored parts of the paper act like, if you've seen the pre-printed foiling sheets that you add the foil to and put it through the laminator, that's what it acts like. So of course, if you put foil on this, the whole thing's going to foil because it's colored. But if you put foil on this and put it through your laminator, it's only going to cover the black part. If there's any white in the background, the foil doesn't stick. So that's just kind of a really neat tip using their paper. So that's really cute. I really like the sewing machine. It looks like it's kind of encompassing, all kinds of art and paint and sewing and all kinds of crafting or anything that's homemade. So that is a really cute line. Then we have, what do we have here? Okay, so this one is this. Oh, we have, okay, that's the same as that. And then we have the Happiness is Homemade stamp set. This may have to come home with me again as well. Yes, the possibilities, right? I just love these. I'm not a quilter. I think I've made a baby quilt once, and I do know how to sew, but I just, I mean, I think you have to pick and choose sometimes. But I still really enjoy quilting, and I would maybe someday I'll go back to sewing. Those are so cute, and I really like the sentiments. And I believe that Heather, one of the owners, this is her handwriting. She usually writes. I know that's her script handwriting. So that's really, really cute. You can use those on all your cards or cut them out for your pages. Okay, let's put that one down. And we've got chaos and love. So this to me looks like, okay, this one goes with this. This looks like it's probably could be maybe a wedding collection or love or family and or friends. Okay, so you've got some family, mom, dad. So you could have this collection for all kinds of family moments. That's so cute. Chaos and love. Anybody knows that families are sometimes chaotic, but wonderful, of course. I really love this, and that's one of those ones that you could do the foiling on just with the black background. It would be really pretty as well. Oh, Peggy. And I like that. Well, that's nice. This could be for a lot of different things. It has the family sentiments, but of course, you can use this for a lot of different, the flowers, the hearts, could be for anything. This reminds me of summer. So I think, to me, this looks like coral. It's called Modern Blobs. Isn't this fun? This could be a really fun summer stencil. And I think, too, you can use these, the inks, like to partially ink and layer your colors to get that variegated look, because you've got quite a bit of large stencil openings. So that would be really fun. Very pretty. And I'm not sure if there might be embellishments or cards in the shop, and I'm just not sure. Okay, so then we have this one here. So I will be making a sample with this one or doing a demo with it. This is the Pink Fresh Cover Plate Die stained glass. So I think there's lots of things that we're going to be able to do with that. It cuts out this little lines, so you could do that in maybe silver or black. And then if you did it in a bunch of colors, you could then insert, I think, the colors to make different effects, or maybe even vellum, or do a shaker. That would be fun. So look for this coming up in the next few weeks, and we'll figure something out to do with it. This as well is new, and it's the 2023 mini tear off calendar. So it comes in a pack that I think has 10 in it. And next week we're going to do a demo with it. And so what you have is the calendar from January to December for next year. And I think this is a really great time to start making little mini calendars. So because you have, I think it's 10, you'll have to look at the description. But because you have a bunch, it would be really nice gifts, I think, for teachers, for stocking stuffers. Hello, Tamara. And so you've got each of these little mini calendars. And I'm thinking maybe, figure out some kind of an easel thing to put them on, or one of those IKEA picture frames that you can stand stuff in, and make a different little, almost like a little ATC card at the top. That January could be snow, or February could be like Valentine's or love. And put them on and interchange them each day. So I think this will be really fun. So look for those in the shop, and then we'll be using this. Hello, Irene. How are you? Okay, and I have one more bag of goodies to show you here. This is a surprise. Oh, this must have just come in. I know Sandy was on holidays and she just got back, and so she probably just got this in the store. So this one is Away We Go, and this is the travel line. I don't think that I showed this to you last week. I honestly cannot remember, but it's a really great color scheme, lots of summer, lots of adventure. You're not late, Irene. I'm just showing some new stuff that Sandy just dropped off at my door, and then we're going to make our project. So you're not late at all. We've got chipboard accents, and these are not the stickers. These are the ones that you can add your own adhesive or foam dots to, and it's cute. The cactus, the camera. So lots of travel stuff or vacation, but as well, lots of, like, I love cloud paper. I find I always have a use for that. Lots of images that you can use for not just travel. There looks like there's like some little campers. You could do some camping pictures. And then this is the chipboard phrases. So that's the accents, and this is the phrases. So you have more of the sentiments in here, along with a little banner. These are cute. And a lot of the Simple Stories lines, the colors go together. So if you have some in your stash, you can then mix and match this in, or mix and match your older, whatever's left over from your collections in. And I also really love the navy. So the navy in the collection, it's more of like a dark neutral, but it goes with everything so nicely. Then you have the puppy stickers. I love puppy stickers. I love the globe too. I think you can even use that for like school. Isn't that cute? The 6x6 paper pad. And it's the same patterns, just on a smaller scale. So if you like to use these ones for cards, there's also lots of 6x6 sketches for layouts online that you can use 6x6 paper pads on Pinterest. So that's a great idea as well. We've got the ephemera, which is the little cardstock pieces, and that's a look at everything in there. And then you've got the adhesive brads. Aren't they cute? So these are all brads. Look at this little scooter, so sweet. And the gems, and of course they don't have the pokey things to the back, so you can just stick them on. And then you have some chipboard stickers in here as well. So that is, I don't think there's anything else from that. That's Away We Go. And then we have, this is really fun, Fun on the Farm. Farm collections are really popular this year. I think everybody loves that kind of bright and the farm scenes. This is a really cute collection by Echo Park. You've got the flowers, the stripes, the cute little cow. Those images almost remind me of like a doodlebug feel. I think you could mix them with that kind of collection. Then you have, this is so cute. Then you have the sticker sheet, the full-size sticker sheet. Adorable. So this could either be pictures of, you know, being on a farm, going to, we have Butterfield Acres, that's fairly close to us, that has farm animals that you have pictures of. Could be a petting zoo, could be just like a day in the country or some travel stuff. I love the country, or like a farmer's market. So there's lots of different colors that are going to go with that as well. Then we have the double-sided papers. I really like this daisy paper and the plaid. Just a nice summer feel. And then we have the ephemera. So that's a look at what's in the ephemera. Cute. The family that farms together stays together. That's very cute. If you have any little stamps as well that are farm themed, okay, it's a little bit different. This is the frames and tags, and this is the ephemera. So just to give you an idea of the difference, this one has the open tags that you can use. Well, you can either use them as tags and write in them, you can use them as frames. So there's lots of cute little stamps out that have a farm theme or cows or anything like that. That would be really cute to add to make some cards. So that one is Fun on the Farm. And this one, I think I might have shown you last week, but it's so cute. I'll give you, oh, the collection pack is sold out. So we have, this is the Into the Wild. So this is more of like the zoo papers with that color scheme that kind of goes with the safari or zoo type feel. I really like these 6x8s. They're a nice size paper, and you still have some of those cut apart pages that have the 3x4 elements on them. Still very easy to use on a layout. So the big collection is sold out, but we still have lots of the items that go with the collection. These are the foam stickers. That's another one of my favorites, are the foam stickers that I can use as titles. Really cute. Oh, my little monkey. I think last week when we were showing them, one of the girls has a cat that is always having some kind of adventure, and she thought this would be a great collection to use with her cat. Like any kind of, kids or pictures at the zoo, those would be fun too. These are the page pieces. So these are really good as well if you have just a piece of cardstock in the background and you use these to set up a couple pages, and you've got all those embellishments that you can add. They're like a cardstock. Then of course the enamel dots that match. And then we've got the brads and the chipboard. Seriously, the sloth's so cute. And there's a look at all those cute little, I love that they have the little pictures. To me, it looks like those buttons that you can get made with the epoxy over them. Very cute. Then the sticker book, which is always such a great deal. This one has 602 stickers. So you've got lots of alphas, and I always love the words. Putting the words beside your photo or under your title to kind of as a subtitle. Then you've got lots of little stickers you can do journaling on. Those would be great for titles as well. And you can always put these on a piece of cardstock and pop them up and have them as more of an embellishment. So you don't have to stick them flat down. These are really great for cards or pages. The borders. That's the sticker book. And then there's the Into the Wild bits and pieces. And this hippo is seriously adorable. You could put him right on the front of a card with your paper, a couple other embellishments, and have a super cute, like, birthday card would be really cute. Honestly, those are so cute. All right, so those are the new goodies that are in the shop. So look at them. So let's get to making our card today. Find all our pieces. We're going to do some stamping. And I thought it's really neat as well that these inks, when you stamp them, they look darker, and then they're going to soften up. So we'll stamp this one first. So this one here is the Jumbo Botanical Winter Bloom. And we'll take that off. So this is the Pigment Craft Co. But if you like the look of the layered stamps or even using some of those layered stencils that create the flowers, you can use the same inks and create your flower. Yesterday I had my stamp press turned around to rubber and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't stamp with it. It took me like a good 5 minutes. So, all right, so we're going to go with the Sugar Plum. And this is a dye ink from Altenew. And I think that the Pink Fresh ones, the Pink Fresh mini inks are comparable as well. So this is the lightest one, the pale mauve. And we'll do that first. Let's move this over a little so we're in the screen. Now, if you do get a new stamp that's a little bit larger, then you can just either take a white eraser or just take your finger and rub it over or stamp it a few times just to clean off any of that residue that might be on there from manufacturing, just if it's new. And then you get a much better first impression. But after you do that once, you're pretty good to go. So as you put these inks on, they do look a little bit blotchy at first. And I do like using a stamp press or MISTI just to get a really nice full impression. But you'll notice as it sits, the ink color is going to soften. Hello, Melody. And it definitely changes color. I like to also just give it it's a bigger image, so you just want to give that ink a really nice chance to soak into the paper. And then I just want to get that little spot that's kind of right there. And we don't have to have it perfectly as well. Okay, we're going to go with that. And I'm going to show you the difference from the one that is already done. So that's the lightest one. And you can see how dark it is there, but as it softens, it's actually going to turn into this color. So that's quite neat. I think it's a good idea to do swatches with your inks as well, just so you know how they're going to dry. You don't have to, but sometimes it's just nice to be able to see the difference. And then we could go with the next one up. I'm going to skip one and do this. Actually, first, I'm going to do the other flower down here. So you'll be able to see both colors. So for the second flower, I'm going to use the second lightest color, which is the amethyst. So I'll just put it there. And I didn't write down the colors that I used, but I'm pretty sure that I'm using the same colors. This is really pretty. It does look like amethyst. So what is everybody up to today? Are you staying in or going out? My kids went to the theater, so their dad's taking them to go play some arcade games. And Erica went to a birthday party yesterday at the theater, so it was nice just to get out of the house. I think that's good. I don't know why, for some reason, I think I'm not pressing hard enough in that spot, but that's going to be good. You can see already that's softening up. Okay, and then you're just going to wipe that off. These inks actually don't stain too much. Like I've used that quite a bit, and not that I don't actually mind if my stamps stain my ink, but hello, Judy. Now this is the second layer for your flower, so that's going to give you that detail look. So you could definitely go with different, like you could go one step up if you didn't want it too dark or whatever you felt like you wanted to do, or a different color completely if you wanted to, or you could emboss this part. That would be pretty as well. And how I'm adding it is this little kind of curved piece. It's just going in here. So if you ever are not sure about where your stamp layers go, because if you just looked at that, you might not be sure where it goes. You're just staying in, Glen, and watching. Good idea if it's hot. And then hopefully it'll cool down the evening and you'll be able to get out. So I actually went onto the Pigment Craft Co website, or I think there's a photo as well that's linked up to this in the Scrap Shot store. And if you kind of look at their projects, then you'll be able to tell how they've layered them if it's something that's not completely intuitive. A funny thing here about Alberta is that once the sun goes down, it gets cool. Like there's some nights where it's warm, but it really doesn't stay warm like it did in the Maritimes. I think the humidity was much higher. So this is the grape agate, and it's the second darkest. Yeah, it used to feel like really hot and sticky in the summer in Nova Scotia, but here, once the sun goes down, it really, I don't know why I'm putting that away. It really cools off, which is nice if you can get some air moving, and then it's not too hot usually. Okay, and then we'll do our darkest. So this is the plum color. And we'll put that on. So I find you're not going to need to press as much or put as much ink on when you have detail areas rather than a full background area. And then this is just my my kids hockey table, I don't know what you call it, thing where they play air hockey handle. I know that there's probably a really specific name for it, but it's just kind of nice. Now you can see that I didn't get that exactly positioned, and I'm really not even worried about that. And then we're going to put this little centerpiece on so you can see the area that it goes into. And again, if it's not exact, I think this type of stamp set is really your fine, not having things perfect. You're crafting this, and if it's a little bit wonky, it just adds to that look. So we'll go with the Warm Sunshine, which is the second lightest. Oh my word. And we're going to do our little piece. You could add probably a little bit of darker. We might even do that. See how I got it a little bit down further? And that's totally fine. It just adds to that graphic piece. I could reposition this and stamp it again, but I'm really not that worried about it. And then we'll take the next one. I didn't do this on the other, but I'm just adding a little bit of ink to the very top. And you can see it just kind of adds that little bit of darker color. And you could do a bunch of these at once too if you wanted to do them all the same color and just have your squares cut and just keep putting them in and changing them if you had a bunch of cards to do. So this one we'll do a little bit darker. So we'll go with that darker caramel toffee. And I'm standing looking at this stuff, so normally I would probably be over it a little bit more, so you can really position them a little bit better. You can see here they look like they're perfectly positioned, but because of the way I'm standing and I don't want to get my head into the screen, I'm guessing. What brand is your stamp press? This is the Tim Holtz Tonic stamp press, and unfortunately they are not making them anymore. I don't know, if you search around you might be able to find one, but the Misty, there's also the Misty, I think there's some Misty ones in the shop. There's a Hampton Arts, they have a stamp press, and I think We Are Memory Keepers does as well. All right, so that's our pretty flowers. But I've had this for a long time before they discontinued it. I really like it, and I hope that they come out with it again. So I'm going to take this little die. So this is the die that it comes with, and it just cuts right out around the edge. I have a piece of washi tape here, so we'll use that. So if you guys haven't heard, we have a big Calgary Scrapaganza that's coming in the fall. So previously, Creative Scrapbooker magazine always had their big carnival in the fall, and they decided to move it to the spring. And so Scrap Shotz decided that, here's that flower, so pretty. Scrap Shotz decided that they would like to put on a fall event, and just kind of bring that cropping experience. So it's like a big crop, and we will also have different vendors that are going to shop at it. There's a Facebook group, the Calgary Scrapaganza Facebook group, and then we have, if you aren't on Facebook or want to go directly to the web page with all the information about it, you can go to the website, and on the main page of the website there's a link that will bring you to the page. Registration is going to be on the 27th, so that's next Wednesday. So you can see how much that softened up already. And we're going to have a crop if you want to be part of the crop for Friday, Saturday. We're also going to have a shopping event that you can come in and shop with the different vendors, and there's going to be make and takes and demos, and it'll just be a really fun weekend. So be sure to check that out. You have a Misty Standard, but it's not big enough for some of the stamps. Yeah. Is that the card size, Wendy? The Hampton Arts one that I have, or that I had, was about this size too. So that might be, if that's something you're looking for, I think that Sandy can get that in if you want to email her at sandy@scrapshotz.com, and then she can check on that if it's something you want brought in, and if she can get it from her manufacturer. So then we have our Sending Love. So we've got our two flowers. We're going to set those aside. It is nice to have the stamp press, like some kind of stamp press or Misty. I think there's a larger Misty as well that's about this size, and I haven't used it, but I believe that I'm thinking of the size that is. All right, so we need paper. And I just have to see where I put my, there we go. So we've got, this little one is very cute, and I'm going to show you how to put this together. Hello, Julie. So we've got Sending Love. I love the scripty look of this. And I think you can use this as well for lots of different occasions. And I use the greens for this one. So this one here, the yellows was Summer Afternoon, and then this one is Green Meadows. So I think that I probably used this one. This one is the Sweet Leaf. And I'm going to stamp the whole thing with this, but then go over with the darker shade. And I just really like that the colors are matched up for you and that you don't have to think when you're choosing two shades, especially if you're doing stenciling or the stamping with layering. You know that the colors are going to go together. So I think Pink Fresh and Altenew have done a really good job of doing that for you. But it doesn't mean that you can't use your inks with other colors. It's just kind of that fact that they're all together. Does anybody have any plans for the summer? I think we're going to go to Saskatchewan at some point and maybe spend a little bit of time at the lake. My middle daughter, who's 15, she's going to go to Ontario with a friend. I hope that they're not going to run into any issues with flights and all that. Hello, Lorraine. How are you? You're not late. You're good. We're just using some Altenew Inks and some Pigment Craft Co. stamps. So yeah, hopefully there won't be any issues there. She's very excited. She hasn't been on a plane since she was very little. So this is going to soften up again, but you can see we're just getting kind of the look of the darker ink at the bottom. And then just driving to Saskatchewan to see family. And a trip to the lake is always good, right? All right, so we'll die cut this out. And I found that these ones here were easier to stamp. The blooms and the sending love were easier to stamp first and then die cut out the pieces. But you'll see in a second when I did the smaller flower, I felt like it was easier to die cut it first just for placement, but I did do it both ways and both ways worked. I like that there's lots of room to die cut these, so you don't have to be on it perfectly. I forgot my Spellbinders yellow tape downstairs, which I do prefer using when I'm die cutting, but all right. Airport in Toronto is an exercise in patience. Yeah, and she's going there, but at least she's flying with people there, so I'm hoping that'll be okay. And on her way home, she has someone taking her directly there, kind of dropping her, exactly where she needs to go, and it's a direct flight. So, you know what? If she has to wait, she's got a book and she's got a phone, and it'll be okay. It's not like she's completely on her own. Okay, so for this one here, I used the die cut and just cut 3 more layers of cardstock so that I could have almost like a chipboard type embellishment. Thanks, Lorraine. But I think that I heard that they were talking about striking or something, and ay. So I'm just adding a little bit of glue there, putting this on, and the liquid glue gives you a little time to move it around. And again, you've got the white border, so even if you didn't have it on exactly, it's really not gonna be an issue. But then you have this really nice sturdy embellishment. If you had some fun foam, you could cut the fun foam on and glue that on as well. This is just kind of an easy, cheap way if you've got the cardstock in front of you. And for these little flowers, all right, what I'm going to do is I found that I could see better if I used this little media grip thing. And I know lots of people are waiting for this, and it sold out almost immediately. I had this sent to me, so luckily enough, I was able to get some. But it's supposed to be back in the fall. So it is, when it will eventually come back, and when it finally does, I love it. So definitely look for it when you see that it comes back in. Okay, so here's our piece. We'll put that over there, and maybe we'll do the stem first. So I'm only using it here really because if I put the white on white, it's just hard for me to see. And I'm gonna just place that. It's funny how much you don't realize how close you look at things or how much you look on top of things. You returned from Greece. I bet that was amazing. And after an 11-hour flight, oh no, and 2 hours to get through the customs. Yeah, I'm glad that at least she won't have to go through customs, and she's taking a carry-on. I think everybody's finding that, like, flying is, you know, there's just a lot of challenges right now. Okay, what color did I use? And I have another one of these flowers somewhere, but I'm at this point, I think that I'll have to look for it in a minute. Okay, we'll do one blue and one purple, and then I think I have a blue somewhere, so we'll look for that. I only have like half the table that has items on it, so you would think that it wouldn't be that far away. So we'll go with the sweet leaf, and this is on the stem part. So because this has the stem and then you position the little flower on top, I found it was easier to kind of get it a little bit wonky. It does position fairly straight, but if I wanted it a little straighter, it was easier to die cut it first and then stamp. But I really, really like this little flower. So did you have an amazing time though, Jennifer? Obviously not on the plane or not getting off the plane, but on your trip. I bet Greece would be incredible to see. And because these are pretty small, you only need a couple times. You could probably even get away with just stamping it once, but because I have the stamp press, I like to just do it twice. Okay, and then we're going to move this down and we'll do the next little piece, which is this little part of the flower. And I think that you could do this flower any number of colors. Okay, I think that's about in the same. So amazing. Yeah, I bet. You're going to Ontario this summer, Glenda? So much happened last time. Oh no. Cheaper than driving. Yeah. I can't believe how expensive though flying is right now. And of course, I mean, there's so many reasons why it is, but it's, yeah. Even we were thinking about renting a vehicle. What color am I going to do? Okay, I'm going to use this color. So we were thinking about renting a vehicle to go to Saskatchewan, just because my husband was worried, like, what if something happened with our car? And it's, I mean, it's fine. I think it's just him worrying, but there's barely any rental cars that you can find right now. And it was going to be about $1,300 just to rent a car to drive to Saskatchewan. So I think we're just going to take our chances. You guys can cross your fingers for us that it all works out okay. We're not that far away that we can't get home, so that's good, right? And then we are supposed to go camping at the end of the summer, and I have like a love-hate relationship with camping. So we used to have a camper, and that was great, but we just weren't using it enough eventually, and we ended up selling it. And so we have a tent. Tenting is not the same as camping in a camper. Plus, it seems like we bring so many things. So we are going camping at the end of the summer, and we'll just, I said, we're going to have to just bring the main things. And my husband always brings, so this is a little middle part, and I'm going to do the lighter green. This is the lightest one, Minty Mint. So he always has like sleeping bag heaters and it's great, like everything you can think of, but all those things take up space. And I don't want to spend a whole lot on just a camping weekend. So we'll see how that goes as well. But I will have photos that I can scrapbook. So that's my love relationship with camping, is that I love when we're there. I love sitting by the fire and having wine, and I love the photos. The whole rest of it is not so much a love relationship. So we're gonna see how it plays out. Okay, this is the very top flower. I don't even know what kind of flowers these would be. It's hot in Ontario, yes. Yeah, and then gas, crazy. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see better this part here. So the yellow one, the lighter yellow, we'll do the purple. I haven't decided if I'm going to take the inks out of those little things. I kind of like that they're in these and then I can just grab them, but I don't really like keeping things in packages. Like I feel like I use them more when they're out of packages, so I haven't decided. So yeah, I don't know what kind of flowers these are. And let's see, we'll do this one blue. So I'm doing the lightest of the purple, the lightest of the blue. This is Iceberg. Love the names. Oops. To get that on there first. And I decided that I would redo my whole basement, my whole craft area, and that involved going through every drawer and taking out stuff that I'm no longer using and getting rid of it. And it's one of those things that feels like it's a really great idea until you're halfway done and you think, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? But I'm past the point of no return. Okay, this little one, I think I'm going to have to look straight on. Sorry, I have to just move it out of the picture a little bit. So you just line up the little dots. I think having maybe some tweezers just so that every time you touch it, it's not sticking to your finger. There we go. I just lined that up with the dots. And I'm using, that was the lightest color, and then I'm using the second lightest color just to put the dots, but you could do darker dots as well. And I didn't get it lined up exactly, but it's good enough. I actually kind of like it with a little bit of that white showing. So it's halfway done and it looks so much better though. Like I actually feel like continuing. So every time I go down, I try to do one little thing, like move something around or put it in the box to give away. And just we're kind of opening it up so that there's not so many toys down there because the kids are out of their toy phase. Okay, we'll go to the next one, this Eastern Sky. So it's just been really nice to get rid of things and get organized. It is a lot of work. And then we have one more little piece. I think these are so cute. We planted some flowers on our deck. I just have pots with flowers. And flowers are not my, like, I'm not great at gardening. I think because I just don't care enough. But I like the look of the flowers, and my husband and my youngest daughter kind of take care of watering them because I don't have the greatest track record with keeping them alive. So only one has died, which I am quite happy about. And then we have a little herb garden as well in our planters. So that is doing well. You're reorganizing your craft room into a bigger room and stacked everywhere. I know, and it's like it's like at that point where you have to move things and stack them and take them out before you can get them organized. And I think you just have to keep going, even though it's like you think, what have I done? Because once it's done, it feels so much better. And I'm getting rid of a lot of things. Like I kind of looking at these. Aren't they cute? There's so many different color combinations you could use. I'm kind of thinking if it's something that I wouldn't buy right now, then I need to get rid of. So that is my mentality, because if I think I might use this sometime, I could keep literally everything. But if I think I'm not going to use, or if I wouldn't buy it right now, then I need to let it go. And if I need it again, I can get it again. Okay, so we're going to grab our background piece and we're going to look for that little flower. Let's see. We're going to stencil that with our stencil. I always find these little things after the live is over. Oh, here it is. Yay. It was just another flower. But I do love organizing, and I love that feeling of when you found the perfect spot for something and it just is like, oh, that it looks good there and it just makes me happy that it's there. So this is one of those waffle flower craft, the stencil mats. Really like this. If you find that it's collected any little bits of dust or anything, you can just give it a wash in the sink. Red ink does stain, so don't worry about that. It's not going to affect it or come off. And for a while, I had been trying to avoid getting ink on it, and then I did by mistake or something. And then I'm like, you know what? This is a stencil mat. It's fine if it has ink on it. So this is going to be my first layer, and I want to have the hearts above. So I want to leave room for the hearts, and they are going to be in that glossy glaze. So I've just kind of, yeah, I brought it down to about there. And I'm lining up so that this little groove or part is even with the left side. And so, and it's, I probably cut it a little bit wonky. It's pretty much has an even line here and an even line here. So that's what we're going to go with. But the stencil mat is nice for just kind of gripping it down. We're going to go with the yellow because I thought you've got lots of color going on with the flowers. So I just wanted a really nice light background. And we'll go with the lightest color of this yellow. It's called Buttercream. And I do kind of hold it, but I find that the stencil mat just gives enough of a grip that it's not moving around or sliding your paper or the stencil. Sounds good. Thank you, Glenda. I'm so glad you stopped in, and I hope you stay nice and cool. So stamped, you'll see how much smooth. Sorry, looked like my internet cut out for a minute there. You guys still, can you still hear me? I just turned off my Wi-Fi and went to data. Is that a little bit more clear? We were actually with Rogers when that went out. Was it last week? And I mean, it didn't affect us that much because we were able to use Wi-Fi when we were home, but my daughter and I did go out shopping, and it was a really weird feeling to not be able to text or, you know that someone couldn't call you. But I mean, I think I was 32 before I even had a cell phone. So at one point that wasn't weird to me at all to go out and not have constant contact. But I think you just get used to that. And then it's just, you think, oh no, what if someone's trying to reach me or, but we were fine. Okay, so we've got our first layer. And then you can just wipe that off with a wipe. And then we've got this second layer. So there's lots you can do with these stencils. Being layering stencils, you can totally, either use them as I'm going to do today, or you could create layers in between and just do kind of this really cute background. There was a sample on their website that had each layer. So like, I think this one was red and this one was, green, and this one was another color. And that looked really cute as well. Or you could do rainbow colors. And all I'm doing is looking through my stencil and just lining it up and then just making sure I'm pretty straight along the top. So for this one, I'm going to use the lightest green color. So that one is the Minty Mint. These are also really nice to hold your ink pads when I remember. So it just keeps things from moving around. Thank you, Lorraine. You have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for stopping in. And there's enough room in between these that you could totally do different colors, or you could do, you know, go from light to dark with each of the colors. And so have it maybe lighter up here and darker at the bottom with each of the ink blends that you're doing. The Glossy Glaze as well comes with a bunch of different colors. And so you could do these just with the Glossy Glaze, like we're going to do the top layer, and just let them dry in between. Stencils are always a really good investment because there's so much you can do with them. And you can use them on your jelly plates, and depending on the colors you want to use, you've got lots of options as well. Whether you want to go really light, you could totally do this background in white texture paste. You know, do just a really light ink color for each one and then do a texture paste and have just a really soft background. Okay, and then we're on to the top one. And I kind of like, if I'm using a glitter paste or a texture paste, then I kind of like leaving that for the top, just because then I can set it aside to dry. Otherwise, you just have to plan. It's not difficult, but. So this Glossy Glaze, this one is, which color is this? Lilac, I think. I'm totally not seeing the, I think it's, yes, lilac, inspired lilac. So there's a lot you can do with this. I'm just going to take it right from the top. Very, very creamy. And like I said, if you decide to get some, and there's the video that we have on the Scrap Shotz Facebook page that has lots of different ideas. And then Jamie Rogers' YouTube channel has a ton of ideas as well, which I looked at before I did my video. So all I'm doing is laying my spatula down a little bit and then bringing it at an angle. So if you're using like a palette knife, you do the same thing. So you're just spreading it over, but then you want to have it more of a 90-degree angle to get the excess off. Because you don't want it so much that it's blobbed up. You just need. Now, if you wanted this to be darker, it is translucent, so you could totally do an ink color underneath and change the effect that you would get. But it doesn't take much. And then you can just scoop what's left over into there. And then pull it off, and you have this really, really lovely effect, and it dries glossy. So it still even has that wet kind of look, but then you would just set that aside. And it really doesn't take too long. I would set it aside for maybe like an hour. I'm just going to get a wipe so that I'm not letting it dry on there. but you can just rinse it off under the sink. And it's a really easy cleanup. All right, so then we're going to take our magically dried one, and then we just start layering on. So here's our pieces, and you can see how smooth those dried. Like they look just beautiful. It's amazing how they lightened up and then how smooth they look. Thanks, Irene. So I thought we'd put these on here. This off as well. And then we have a little sentiment. We'll glue that down first. So you could pop this up if you had the little foam strips, but I think this to me is easier because it's a bigger area. All right, that looks straight. And it still sticks well, even though you've got some of that stenciled glaze on there. You can see it really doesn't add a lot of dimension. It does add a little bit of texture, but it's not huge. It dries really nicely. And so for my flowers, what I did was just add a piece. I don't need to make sure that the whole thing is glued completely down. And just by adding a little bit of foam tape, you get that little bit of dimension. So if you add your foam tape first without taking the back off, then you can kind of see how you want to place things. And for the little flowers, I'm going to glue the bottom down, but have the top poked up. Thanks, Tamara. Just kind of a nice, fun, soft colored card. You could also stamp some of those stems and add them to these flowers if you wanted all your flowers to have stems. All right, so something kind of like, you know, this I think we'll go with. So I'm just pulling the back off because I want to have this here. And I'm not even pressing hard yet because I want, that's going to go there. Actually, before I put that down, I'm going to press my flowers down. So once I get a few things, I kind of know the placement that I want. And then we can just add a little bit of glue. Just underneath the ends. You don't really have to worry that these are gonna fall off or anything. You could even put a little bit of foam tape under this edge if you wanted to give this a little bit more dimension. So see how that kind of just lifts that up a little bit there. And then this one, this is the 3L foam adhesive, the big roll. So I'm getting down there, but it's lasted me for a long time. Actually, this one, I feel like let's cut a little bit of this leaf off and just poke it in a little bit more. There. And then we can go in with our, what is this called again? Glitter Gloss Aqua Shimmer pen. It's the Nuvo pen. I don't know if they're still in the store. They were at some point. So you're just shaking this to mix the glitter around and pull that off. And then you've got this glitter that comes into like a paintbrush. Let's zoom in a little so you can see here. This was Amy's idea, my daughter who's 15. So it's going to be a little bit darker just because it's wet going on, but that's going to dry and you're still going to get that shimmer. So her idea was to use this pen because we were trying to decide whether we should go with drops or enamel dots or sequins, and this gives just a really nice effect, this shimmer. Yeah, can you see it there? It's so, I love this pen. And then I thought we would just grab a few of the glitter drops. This one's the White Blizzard. And just do a few little drops right on those little dots that we put on. And it's not a lot, but it's just enough to add a little bit of glitter when you're looking at the card. And that's it. Thanks, Cynthia. All right, so there's a look at our card. All done. If you missed the first part, you can go back and check the replay to look at the new stuff that's in the shop. And don't forget to check out the Calgary Scrapaganza if you're anywhere near Calgary and want to either pop in for shopping or want to come in for a crop. Or just if you want to find out about the news and see what's going on. So thank you guys for stopping in and crafting with me today. I really appreciate it. And next week, we're going to do something with this tear off calendar. So we'll figure something out for that. So if that's something that interests you and you want to pick it up and do some craft along stuff with me, you can do that. And yeah, have a great weekend. Enjoy the weather and stay cool. I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye.